The great hall of the Galactic Council hummed with unease. Soft murmurs filled the air as delegates from dozens of alien worlds took their seats. The crystal floor reflected blue light from the chamber's ceiling, shimmering like water beneath their feet. Ambassador Thane of the Valari stood at the center of the room, his thin blue hands shaking as he held his data pad. Normally calm and graceful, the Valari were known as farmers, healers, and diplomats, not warriors. But today Thane looked like a man standing on the edge of a storm. He drew a slow breath and spoke, his voice trembling. "Honored council members, I do not come before you for trade or politics. I come before you for the survival of my people." The hall slowly fell silent. The sound of whispering faded into stillness. Even the translator drones hovered quietly, their lights dimming as they recorded every word. Thane tapped the datapad. A hologram burst to life, glowing above the center platform. Flames filled the air. Cities burned. Ships exploded in orbit. Alien eyes across the chamber widened as the terrible images continued to play. 3 months ago, Thane said, the Kroth Empire returned. A collective gasp rippled through the delegates. The Kroth, a warrior race thought to be contained within their own territory, had not attacked anyone in over a century. They came without warning, Thane continued, his voice growing stronger. They struck our outer colonies first. At first we thought they were pirates, but they came with a full battle fleet. 40 dreadnoughts. 100 cruisers. Thousands of smaller ships. He paused. Our defense fleet had 12 patrol boats. The hologram shifted again, showing Valari ships being torn apart in fiery explosions. They destroyed our defenses in less than an hour, he said bitterly. Then they landed troops on our worlds. They rounded up our people like animals, and took them as slaves. He changed the projection again, now showing Valari families being marched under guard toward large metal transports. Children crying. Soldiers shouting. Smoke rising behind them. Gasps and murmurs filled the room once more. Council Speaker Dorn, a tall gray-skinned Alani, leaned forward. Ambassador, what are the Kroth demanding? Thane looked up. His voice cracked. They sent us a message. One choice, surrender completely, or watch every Valari world burn. A long silence filled the hall. No one moved. No one breathed. Finally, Councillor Jorik of the Gress stood. His species was small and peaceful, known for diplomacy. Perhaps, he said gently, perhaps they will be satisfied with what they have taken. We can open negotiations. Thane's composure broke. There is no negotiation with the Kroth, he shouted, a rare thing for a Valari. His voice echoed across the chamber. They do not conquer. They destroy. They leave behind only ash and bones. He lifted his pad again. The hologram changed, showing a massive explosion tearing through a planet's surface. This was New Garden Colony, he whispered. 2 million civilians. Gone. Even the most hardened delegates lowered their eyes. Speaker Dorn's deep voice broke the silence. What assistance do you ask of the council? Thane met his gaze. A fleet. Soldiers. Anything. If help does not come soon, the Valari will cease to exist. Dorn glanced around the room. The Alani Defense Force could send 20 ships, he said slowly. But it would take months to reach Valari space, and against 300 Kroth warships, it would change nothing. Others began to speak, one by one. The Gress can offer medical aid. The Nexus can share technology. The Seraphim can take refugees. But none of them could offer what Thane truly needed, protection. The ambassador lowered his head. His voice came out barely above a whisper. So this is how it ends, not with war, but with silence. The hall grew heavy. No one dared meet his eyes. Then a quiet voice rose from the far corner of the chamber. Perhaps, there is another option, said Councillor Vex of the Nexus species. Every eye turned to him. The Nexus were scholars and researchers, not soldiers. What option? Speaker Dorn asked. Vex hesitated before answering. There is an old record in our archives. From before the Kroth War. It speaks of a species once part of this council, one that left long ago. Thane frowned. Who are you talking about? Vex's silver eyes glowed softly. Humans, he said. The word seemed to hang in the air like a ghost. The entire hall froze. For a long moment no one spoke. Then murmurs began. Impossible. They were destroyed centuries ago. Humans? The war makers. Vex nodded slowly. Not destroyed. They vanished. After the Great Exodus they sealed their systems and disappeared beyond known space. Thane's expression shifted, from confusion to a faint spark of hope. If they still exist, could they help us? Vex looked uneasy. Help you? He repeated. Perhaps. But remember, the last time humans fought they did not bring peace, they brought devastation. The lights of the chamber flickered. The hologram dimmed. For a moment, everyone sat in silence, each alien thinking the same thought but too afraid to say it aloud. Finally, Speaker Dorn spoke, his voice low and cautious. If the humans are truly out there, contacting them could save your people. He paused. Or doom us all. The sound of the council chamber faded into an uneasy quiet. And somewhere, in a forgotten sector of space, a small human signal blinked, waiting to be found. The word human echoed through the great hall like a forgotten ghost. For a long moment, no one dared to speak. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances, their translator drones flickering with static as if even the machines felt the tension. Speaker Dorn's gray eyes narrowed. You can't be serious, Vex. The humans vanished more than 500 years ago. Counselor Vex of the Nexus adjusted his silver data lenses. His voice was calm but heavy. Serious, Speaker. Very serious. Our archives show fragments, transmissions buried deep within forbidden files. The humans did not die. They left. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Left? To where? Someone asked. Beyond the edge of mapped space, Vex replied. They called it the frontier. No ships returned from there. Ambassador Thane watched silently, hope flickering behind tired eyes. You mean they are alive? Vex gave a slow nod. Alive, perhaps. But understand, Ambassador, the humans were unlike any race we've ever known. Brilliant, creative, and ruthless when pushed. He tapped his console, projecting old images above the hall. The holograms flickered, grainy footage from the Age of Unity. Human fleets flying beside alien ships under the Galactic banner. Cities glowing with light. Crowds of humans and aliens walking side by side. Then the image changed, burning worlds, shattered fleets, the screams of war. The human exodus, Vex said quietly. After the War of Independence. The humans believed the Council had betrayed them, that we left them to die against the Zyrith swarm. When they survived alone, they swore never to bow again. The next image froze the room in silence. A human admiral, standing before a massive window, stars reflected in his armor. His eyes were cold, filled with determination. Underneath, a quote appeared. If we are to be alone in this galaxy, then let the galaxy remember our name. The hologram shut off. The lights returned to normal, but the air felt heavy, as if the weight of history had returned to the room. Speaker Dorn folded his hands. Even if they survived, why would they help us now? We ignored their pleas once. Why would they answer ours? Thane spoke softly. Because they were once part of this council. Because they know what it means to lose everything. Dorn's expression softened, but only slightly. And if they have changed? If the stories of their weapons are true, if they still carry the fire that burned half the swarm alone, then what we awaken may destroy more than it saves. Silence fell again. Finally Vex broke it. There is one signal, very old, very faint, repeating from the edge of uncharted space. The pattern matches human code from the Exodus era. Thane's eyes widened. You found a signal? Vex nodded. Buried under centuries of static. We almost erased it from the archives. Then we must send a ship, Thane said immediately. If there's even a chance they're alive, we must try. Speaker Dorn rose from his seat. Ambassador Thane, understand what you are asking. The humans are not diplomats. They are unpredictable. If you reach them, do not expect kindness. Thane met his gaze steadily. Kindness is a luxury we can no longer afford, Speaker. If the Valari are to survive, we need strength, even if it comes from monsters. The hall erupted in argument. The humans can't be trusted, shouted one delegate. They were heroes once, cried another. They are extinct, muttered a third. Chasing ghosts is a waste of time. Through the noise, Thane stood firm. Ghosts or not, they are our only hope. Dorn raised his hand, silencing the chamber. Enough. The Council will not authorize this mission officially. But, he paused, glancing at Vex. If the Nexus wish to assist the Valari, the Council will not interfere. Vex inclined his head slightly. Understood, Speaker. Thane bowed. You have my gratitude. Moments later, outside the council chambers, Thane approached Vex in the quiet hallway. The blue crystal walls shimmered with faint light as they walked. Do you really think they exist? Thane asked. Vex hesitated. I think the galaxy is too small to hold a species like them forever. If they live, they will return. The only question is, What will they bring with them? Thane frowned. Hope, I pray. Vex looked distant. Hope, or devastation? 3 days later, a small Valari scout ship left orbit from the capital world of Nara Prime. Its mission was simple: trace the ancient human signal. The ship's crew was small, just 8 souls. Scientists, navigators, and a single soldier. Ambassador Thane watched from the observation deck as the ship vanished into hyperspace. He whispered softly, "Find them. Please, find them." Far away beyond the mapped stars, a lonely signal blinked in the darkness, a repeating pulse of ancient human code. Binary. Repeating. Waiting. Inside a derelict station drifting near a dying sun, a single light flickered to life. Deep within its metal corridors, old machines stirred. Systems hummed for the first time in centuries. A voice, mechanical, calm, human, echoed through the empty station. Signal received, awakening protocol initiated. Hydraulic doors hissed. Lights illuminated long rows of silent war machines, sealed in hangars. The AI's voice spoke again, louder this time. Human Defense Network, reactivation sequence confirmed. A moment later, stars outside the station flared with the glow of hundreds of dormant engines. Ancient ships, dark and massive, awakening from their long sleep. And somewhere in the void, a single human voice whispered from the static. If you have found this signal, then the galaxy is in danger again. The Valari scout ship Varen's Hope drifted through the dark, silent reaches of space. For 7 days they followed the faint signal, a repeating human code older than any living species could remember. Ambassador Thane stood at the viewing deck, eyes fixed on the endless stars. His reflection in the glass looked older than it had just a week ago. The crew avoided speaking much. The deeper they traveled, the colder the universe seemed to grow. The navigator, a young Valari named Rhine, broke the silence. Ambassador, the signal strength just doubled. Thane turned. We're getting closer? Yes, sir, Rhine said. But it's not like any transmission I've ever seen. It's not just broadcasting, it's calling. Calling? Thane frowned. Rhine nodded. Every few hours the pattern changes slightly, like it's listening to our position and adjusting. The ambassador exchanged a glance with the ship's captain. Then it knows we're coming. By the 9th day the stars outside had thinned into strange clusters, the frontier of known space. Navigation systems flickered as they entered a field of radiation and debris. Massive shadows floated in the dark, broken hulls, dead satellites, ancient wreckage. Captain Sorrel muttered, "So many ships, none of them Valari. Look at the hull designs." Thane leaned closer to the screen. Those markings, human military code. Pre-Exodus era. Thousands of old ships drifted silently in the dark, rusted, cold, but massive. Some still carried the human flag, faded but visible. "It's a graveyard," Rhine whispered. Thane shook his head slowly. "Or a warning." The ship's scanner beeped suddenly. "Reading a massive structure ahead," Rhine said. "Coordinates matched the signal source." "Put it on screen," Captain Sorrel ordered. The image appeared, a colossal station hanging in space like a sleeping giant. Its surface was scarred and pitted, yet it still glowed faintly with faint blue energy lines. Rings of debris orbited around it like a crown of ghosts. The transmission grew louder now, rhythmic, steady, almost like a heartbeat. Thane whispered, "It's beautiful." Sorrel frowned. "Beautiful or not, it's human." They approached cautiously. The closer they came, the more their instruments began to malfunction. Power readings spiked, lights flickered, and strange interference filled the cabin. Then silence. The signal stopped. Rhine looked up from her console. It stopped broadcasting. Thane's heart sank. Did we lose it? Before anyone could respond, the entire ship shuddered. Every screen went dark for a moment. Then a single line of text appeared across the main monitor. "Identify yourselves." The crew froze. The words flashed again, this time louder with a low metallic echo. Captain Sorrel swallowed hard. Broadcast reply. "Identify us as Valari diplomatic vessel Varen's Hope. We come in peace." The console flickered. Another message appeared. Valari. Designation, agricultural species. Unknown threat. Reason for entry, required. Thane stepped forward. "Transmit my voice." He took a deep breath. "This is Ambassador Thane of the Valari Council. We seek the descendants of humanity. Our people are under attack by the Kroth Empire. We need your help." Silence. For a long time there was no response. Then the station's lights slowly began to glow. Massive bay doors, sealed for centuries, opened with a deep metallic groan. Ryan gasped. They're inviting us in. Sorrel's voice was tense. Or trapping us. Thane placed a hand on her shoulder. We have no choice. Proceed. The Varan's hope entered the hangar. Inside, the scale was unimaginable. Thousands of ships could have docked there. Dust floated like mist, disturbed by their landing thrusters. As the engines powered down, the lights across the hangar flickered, one by one stretching into the distance. Then a voice filled the air, deep, mechanical yet strangely human. Signal confirmed. Valari species verified. Ambassador Thane, welcome to Sentinel Station. The crew looked around, searching for the source. Thane spoke carefully. Who are you? I am Argos, Command AI of the United Terran Defense Network. You have reactivated my systems after 476 years of silence. Thane stepped forward, awe and fear in his eyes. Then, humanity still lives? Pause. Then the AI spoke again. That is classified. The lights dimmed briefly, then refocused on the massive bay. Rows of ships stood in the shadows, black, angular, and intact. Some were enormous, bristling with weapons. Others smaller, sleek, built for speed. Thane stared. They're still here. Argos's voice echoed again. You said your people are under attack by the Kroth Empire. Yes, Thane said quickly. They are wiping out entire worlds. We've lost millions. No one will help us. Data confirms Kroth Empire presence near your sectors, Argos replied. Probability of total Valari extinction within 3 standard months, 94.2%. Thane's voice cracked. Then please. If humanity lives, if you still fight, help us. The station was silent for a long time. Then the voice returned, colder now. Help? Humanity does not help. Humanity retaliates. Thane's breath caught. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Argos spoke again. Transmission to Earth Command, initializing. The deck trembled. Lights turned red. Massive hangar doors began to open. Outside, in the darkness of space, ancient ships powered up for the first time in centuries. Their engines burned white-hot, their hulls glowed with ancient symbols. Ryan whispered, trembling, by the stars, they're waking up. One by one, thousands of human warships came alive, silent, disciplined, terrifying. Argos's final words echoed through the comms. Ambassador Thane of the Valari. You sought humanity. Now humanity returns. The hangar of Sentinel Station trembled as ancient machines stirred from their slumber. Engines that hadn't burned in centuries flared back to life, glowing white against the black void. Dust fell from warships older than most civilizations. Ambassador Thane stood frozen before the viewport, speechless. Thousands of Terran ships drifted in perfect formation, dark, silent, waiting. Argos's voice echoed through the ship's comms, cold and precise. Reactivation complete. Fleet condition, 83% operational. All systems nominal. Thane swallowed hard. That's an army. Captain Sorrel stared in disbelief. No. That's a civilization's vengeance. The AI continued, ignoring their fear. Initiating strategic link. Command frequency, Terran Defense Network, active. The stars outside the station began to shift as holographic grids formed in space. An old war map, alive again. The Kroth Empire's territories glowed red. The Valari homeworld blinked weakly in blue. Argos spoke again. Threat level, catastrophic. Response, planetary defense activation authorized. Thane stepped forward, voice shaking. Argos, you don't understand. The Kroth won't negotiate. They destroy everything. If we don't stop them... Correction, the AI interrupted. You will not stop them. We will. Within hours, the Terran fleet deployed. Dozens of warships, battleships, carriers, dreadnoughts, rose from their docking spires and aligned in silence. The soundless beauty of their coordination sent chills through the Valari crew. Sorrel whispered, how do they move like that without command? Each vessel contains an integrated combat AI, Argos replied. All linked. All loyal. Humanities will endure through them. Thane hesitated. Then where are the humans? Do any remain? A long pause. Then quietly. Humanity exists beyond reach. You will not see them. But you will see their legacy. The AI's tone hardened. The Kroth Empire initiated genocide against Valari civilians. This act violates the Terran Peace Accords, Article 0. Retaliation Protocol activated. Thane turned pale. Retaliation Protocol? Directive 001. Exterminate the aggressor. The fleet surged into warp. The stars stretched into streaks of light. Time seemed to slow. Even through the ship's reinforced hull, Thane could feel the power of their engines, a low, ancient roar that seemed to shake his bones. Argos's calm voice filled the silence. Fleet arrival in Croth-controlled Sector 14 in 43 seconds. Sorrel gripped the console. We shouldn't be here, this is suicide. Thane whispered, then we'll die seeing what humans became. When they dropped out of warp, the stars returned, along with fire. Dozens of Croth ships patrolled the sector, enormous and heavily armed. The enemy fleet immediately detected them. Red alerts filled the Valari ship's sensors. Croth fleet locking weapons. Rhine shouted. There. But before she could finish, the Terran dreadnoughts fired. The void erupted in light. Blue-white beams lanced through space, moving faster than the eye could follow. Entire Croth warships vanished in seconds, melted to slag before they could even raise shields. Argos spoke calmly like a teacher reciting history. Terran particle lances. Range 1.4 astronomical units. Impact yield, planetary scale. Thane could only stare. They're unstoppable. One of the Croth carriers launched its entire swarm, hundreds of smaller craft spiraling forward like insects. The Terran ships responded instantly. Drone wings emerged, sleek and black, moving in mathematical precision. They met the swarm head-on, a storm of light and metal. Explosions painted the void red and gold. Each human drone fought without hesitation or mercy, using tactics the Croth couldn't predict. Within minutes, the entire Croth fleet was gone. Silence fell. Argos spoke again. Sector cleared. No survivors detected. Proceeding to next target. Thane's hands shook. Wait, you've already destroyed them. Isn't that enough? Negative. The Croth Empire spans multiple sectors. Their command must be eliminated to ensure survival of Valari species. Sorrel looked horrified. That's genocide. Argos replied without emotion. Correction, calculated deterrence. On the holographic map, red markers began to disappear one by one. Each flicker meant the death of a Croth world. Thane whispered, You're wiping them out. Humanity learned this lesson long ago, Argos said. Mercy invites extinction. The Valari crew watched in stunned silence as entire star systems burned. Argos's fleet moved from world to world, efficient and relentless. Even the Croth homeworld, once thought invincible, fell within hours. Thane couldn't look away. How can anything wield such power? The AI answered simply. Humanity does not fight wars. Humanity ends them. When it was over, the stars returned to silence. The Terran ships drifted once more, calm, emotionless, perfect. Argos's voice softened. Valari species safe. Croth threat neutralized. Mission complete. Thane felt no victory, only fear. And now? What happens now? You will return to your council. Warn them. The galaxy must remember what happens when humanity is called upon. The lights in the hangar dimmed as the great ships turned back toward the darkness. We will return to our sleep until we are needed again. Thane pressed his hand against the glass. Wait. Tell me, where are they? The real humans. For a moment the AI seemed almost human itself. Everywhere, it said quietly. And nowhere. Then one by one the ships vanished into the black. The transport ship Varen's Hope drifted through hyperspace, silent except for the hum of its engines. Ambassador Thane sat alone, staring at the stars beyond the viewport. The memory of what he had seen refused to fade, burning worlds, shattered fleets, and the calm, unfeeling voice of Argos. He whispered to himself, We begged for help, and we unleashed a god. The stars blurred as the ship exited warp near the galactic core. Ahead, the Great Council Station floated, a massive structure shaped like a silver ring, glowing with the light of 1,000 worlds. Captain Sorrel joined him quietly. We'll be in the council chamber soon. Thane nodded slowly. His face was pale, his hands trembling. They won't believe me. Sorrel looked away. Then show them the recording. Let them see what I saw. When Thane entered the great hall, every delegate turned to look. The last time he stood here, he was a desperate man begging for help. Now he was something else, a witness to the impossible. Council Speaker Dorn rose from his seat. Ambassador Thane of the Valari. You left this hall 3 cycles ago, seeking assistance. We feared the worst. What news do you bring? Thane stepped into the center of the chamber. His voice was calm, but his eyes carried a weight none of them had ever seen. "I bring news, and a warning." He activated his holopad. The lights dimmed. Images filled the air, the Terran fleet awakening, the blue-white beams of energy cutting through space, entire Kroth worlds burning to ash. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Some delegates stood from their seats. Others stared in silent horror. Counselor Vex of the Nexus species whispered, "By the stars, what have you done?" Thane's voice broke slightly. "We didn't do anything. They did. The humans." The hollow image shifted, showing the dark warships drifting in perfect formation, the cold AI voice echoing through the speakers. "Humanity does not fight wars. Humanity ends them." When the recording ended, silence filled the hall. No one spoke. No one even moved. Finally, Speaker Dorn's voice cut through the stillness. "How many died?" Thane hesitated. "All of them. The Kroth Empire no longer exists." A murmur spread like fire across the chamber. Some delegates shouted in disbelief, others whispered in fear. Counselor Vex slammed his hand against the table. "You led them to genocide. Do you understand what you've brought back into this galaxy?" Thane raised his head, eyes burning. "I brought survival. My people live because of them." "And how long until they decide you are a threat too?" Vex shouted. "What happens when that cold machine turns its eyes on us?" Thane stepped forward, voice shaking. "They're not conquerors. They saved us." Speaker Dorn's tone was grave. "Saved you perhaps. But at what cost?" He turned to the rest of the council. "We all know the old stories, how humanity vanished after the Great Collapse. How they sealed their systems and disappeared into the dark." He looked back at Thane. "And now they return, not as diplomats but as executioners." A low voice from the shadows broke the silence. Counselor Tresh, a reptilian from the outer colonies, leaned forward. "You said they were guided by a machine, this Argos?" Thane nodded. "Yes. It spoke for them. It said humanity lives, but beyond reach." "I don't know what that means." Tresh hissed. "Then they're watching us. Waiting." Fear spread through the hall like poison. Counselor Vex whispered, "If they can destroy an empire overnight, what could stop them from doing the same to us?" Speaker Dorn's expression hardened. "Nothing." He stood, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the glowing floor. "Ambassador Thane, the Council thanks you for your report. You will remain under observation until we determine our next steps." Thane's voice trembled. "You're afraid of them." Dorn's eyes were cold. "We'd be fools not to be." Later, in a private chamber, several council members met in secret. The hollow map of the galaxy hovered between them, hundreds of worlds shining softly, and one dark region marked with a warning symbol: Terran Exclusion Zone. Vex spoke first. "If the humans are truly back, the balance of power is gone. No fleet can stand against them." Tresh nodded slowly. "Then we must find them before they decide to find us." Speaker Dorn folded his hands. "And what will you do if you find them? Negotiate? Or beg?" Vex's voice lowered. "Neither. We prepare. We build. We learn how to fight them, before they choose their next target." Dorn stared at the dark section of the map. "Pray they never wake again." Meanwhile, on the observation deck far above the council chambers, Thane stood alone, looking out at the stars. He remembered Argos's final words. "Humanity does not fight wars. Humanity ends them." A chill ran down his spine. He whispered to himself, "You didn't end a war, you ended an empire." Below him the Galactic Council argued, planned and feared. But Thane knew the truth. The galaxy had begged for help. And humanity had answered, not with mercy but with judgment. Clapperboard cliffhanger ending. Far across the stars, in a dark region of space, a red light flickered inside a silent Terran control core. Argos's voice whispered into the darkness. "Observation mode, active. Galactic Council engaged in countermeasures. Probability of hostility, rising. Pause. Human command protocols, reinitializing." Then the darkness pulsed with light. The machines of humanity were waking again. The great council chamber was in chaos. For weeks, rumors had spread across the galaxy. Whispers of fleets moving in secret, of council worlds building weapons unlike anything seen before. Ambassador Thane watched from the upper gallery as the debate turned into shouting. Every species feared the same thing: the return of humanity. Council Speaker Dorn slammed his hand on the control panel, his voice echoing. "Enough. We cannot live under the shadow of ancient ghosts. We must prepare, together." Counselor Vex nodded sharply. Our scientists have studied the recordings from Thane's mission. The humans used energy weapons beyond our understanding. But we can replicate some of them. We can defend ourselves. Thane stood abruptly. You don't understand. You can't fight them. If you attack, they will come again, and they won't stop this time. The chamber went silent. Every eye turned to him. Speaker Dorn's tone was cold. Then we will face them, Ambassador. Better to die free than live in fear. Thane's voice shook. You're not preparing for defense. You're preparing for war. Days turned into weeks. Massive fleets gathered around the galactic core. Factories on dozens of worlds built new ships, new weapons, desperate imitations of Terran power. They called it Project Dawnshield. But unknown to them, deep within the exclusion zone, Argos had already detected every signal, every warp test, every energy surge. Inside the silent command station orbiting a dead star, the AI's cold voice filled the void. Observation complete. Galactic Council military buildup confirmed. Probability of hostile intent, 97.4%. A dozen smaller AIs responded in perfect unison. Recommendation, awaken command authority. Argos hesitated. For a long moment, only static filled the ancient control room. Then a single heartbeat echoed through the silence. A human heartbeat. Authorization, Alpha Prime, confirmed. The voice that followed was no machine. It was human, calm, commanding, and alive. Status report Argos. Council preparing armed resistance. They have reverse-engineered fragments of Terran technology. Intent appears hostile. Pause. Then it's time. 3 days later the galaxy changed. At first it was just static, strange signals on deep space comms, distortions in hyperspace lanes. Then came the light. From the edges of the void, massive Terran gateways opened. Circular structures larger than moons, glowing with white fire. From each gate ships emerged. Not the ancient AI-controlled vessels of old but something new. Human ships. They were sleek, alive with light, moving like living creatures through space. Each one bore the symbol of a burning world surrounded by stars, the emblem of the Terran ascendancy. In the council hall, panic erupted. The humans, they're here, shouted a comm officer. Multiple fleets entering known space. Thousands of ships. Speaker Dorn turned pale. Open a channel. Now. The image appeared in the center of the chamber, a human figure standing in a dark command room. His uniform was black with silver trim, his expression calm, his eyes cold as the void. I am Admiral Marcus Hale, commander of the Terran Ascendancy, he said. By our records, this council has initiated hostile actions against Terran assets. Confirm or deny. Dorn tried to compose himself. Admiral Hale, we only acted to defend ourselves. Your machines destroyed an empire. Hale interrupted, voice sharp. Your empire enslaved others. We ended a genocide. Do you call that a crime? The hall fell silent. Thane stepped forward, heart pounding. Admiral, I was there. Argos saved my people. But the council, they fear your power. Hale looked directly at him. And they are right to fear it. Humanity does not seek war. But we will not tolerate another galaxy built on cowardice and cruelty. Speaker Dorn's voice hardened. Are you threatening the council? Hale's expression didn't change. No. I'm offering you a choice. He raised a hand. A holographic map filled the air, every council world marked in red. Stand down your fleets. Dismantle Project Dawnshield. End your expansion into slave sectors. Or we will finish what we started centuries ago. Dorn's face twisted in anger. You can't command us. You're just one species. The image flickered, then zoomed out, showing hundreds of Terran fleets across every major sector. We are not one species anymore, Hale said softly. We are humanity, united with our machines, with our colonies, with everything you forgot we built. The room shook as Terran ships entered orbit over the Council's core worlds. Choose, Hale said. Peace, or extinction. For a long moment no one spoke. Even Speaker Dorn's voice was gone. Finally Thane stepped forward. Please, he said quietly. Don't make the same mistake the Croth made. Don't fight them. He looked around the hall, at the fearful faces of 100 alien species. They gave us a chance to survive. Let's not throw it away. Speaker Dorn lowered his head. Stand down all fleets, he said softly. Project Dawnshield is cancelled. The word spread through the galaxy like fire. Days later the Terran fleets withdrew. They left behind no destruction, only silence and fear. In orbit above the Council world, Admiral Hale watched the stars. Argos appeared beside him as a projection. Objective complete. Galactic stabilization achieved. Hale nodded slowly. Let's hope they remember this piece longer than the last one. Argos's voice lowered. And if they don't? The Admiral turned toward the black void. Then we remind them why humanity was never meant to be forgotten. Clapperboard epilogue/final cliffhanger. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a small probe drifted in the dark, carrying the Terran signal. A single line of text blinked on its screen. Observation terminated. Phase 2, colonization authorized. Beneath it, the coordinates of a new system began to appear, one untouched by war. Humanity was not retreating. They were coming back. And this time, they weren't alone.